The biggest mistake people make in buying a house is buying too much house. So they haven't candidly assessed it to say, okay, if I buy a $500,000 house, I'm going to need about 1 to 2% of the value of that house in order to maintain it.
Oh, yeah.
As any asset. Like you can just think about your car, right? I have to go in for a maintenance of my tires and my battery, and that's just a car. That's like $20,000. But in a house, so many moving parts, windows, heaters, roofs, floors, walls, all of that costs money. Squirrels that might move into the attic. a wasp nest that might move into the yard. So all of these things are like, surprise.
Welcome to One With the Other Way, a podcast about your journey and finances. I'm your host, James. Today we have Wanda with us. We're actually starting our home buying series here. So first episode we're going to be talking about is more on the early side of saving up for a house, talking about your down payment. Wanda, do you have anything you want to say before we kind of crack into this?
What an exciting time to consider, like a home, not just a house, it's a home. So like there's a lot of emotion involved in this decision.
Yeah. So we'll get into the first kind of question we have. How much do you need actually for a down payment?
It's like I mentioned, it's an exciting time of your life considering a home. It is going to be the biggest purchase that you make in your lifetime.
Yeah.
And so with that said, you should look at it eyes wide open.
Okay.
So the first thing you have to consider is in general, you're going to have to bring in a down payment to this house, this home.
Yeah.
And in general, it's going to be about 20% of the value of the house. Mm-hmm. So you need, if you have a $100,000 house, you need $20,000. And so, yeah, it's a bit of money. It again is the biggest purchase that you make. So then you want to take a look at that and where can you get the resources? Do you have it in savings? Do you have it in your investments? And then is it a good idea to take it from your investments? What are the lost opportunity costs taking it from the investments? And then you want to consider, you may be a vet and you may be able to take advantage of some veteran benefits that allow you not to have a down payment. And so these are all considerations.
Or a cheaper down payment.
More economical down payment. I don't know if anything involving a house is cheap.
Well, the other thing that you can say too is that if you go under 20%, you do pay what's called private mortgage insurance, correct?
That's right. Yeah. So you can do that. And then that's an additional cost. It's a monthly cost that you have to pay for insurance because in the event you cannot afford the monthly payment, then that insurance will step in and take the house from you. So you want to be mindful of that, but you pay for that service.
And you mentioned benefits for veterans, but are there also benefits for first-time home buyers?
Yeah, there are. And every state's different and unique. And then you want to be careful as you're looking at them. So California had, I don't know if the programs will change year over year, depending on how the governments decide that they want to allocate the programs. But there's been some programs that the governments will allow you to get the down payment from the government. But they hold it out, right? So let's say that you to the $100,000 house. And I don't know, anyone can get a $100,000 house, but let's say that we do. And then the state government fronts you that $20,000. So that, you have the $100,000 house and you're living in it for a while, and then you want to sell it. You have to, the first person that gets paid on the sale of the house is the government, the $20,000. So yeah, you want to be clear on if you're going to get money from another source or there's some program that's available to you, what are the strings attached, eh?
Now, before we get into other questions about like searching for the right house, is there a right time to buy?
Yeah, funny that we use the word the right time quite a bit. In our lifetime, we're going to probably purchase 3 houses. And as I mentioned, right, that's the most important purchase we make. We're going to be in that house somewhere between 12 and 15 years. And so for a long time. You know, on the other side of the coin, right, only 2 out of 3 of us actually have bought a house. 1 in 3 of us are renting. So, you know, there's that other side because, you know, if I'm in a house for 12 to 15 years, where am I living the other time? But renting. So about 2/3 of us actually have bought a house. So the right time for you is going to be based on what's going on in your life. And so, you know, getting out of college is probably not the best time to buy a house because you may not necessarily be staying there. You may be changing careers, that kind of thing. But then on the other side, it might be the right time because you are from this community. You're never leaving this community. You're going to go right from college and you're going to work into the industry that's right in this community. And so everybody's different in that regard.
So people should worry too much about, hey, what the housing prices are doing or something?
Yeah, housing prices are funny. They're going to go up and they're going to go down. This is the same like the market, right? It's an asset, it's a commodity, it's a supply and demand thing. So right now we have a big supply. This in 2025 we have a big supply of houses, and that's the environment that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Causes potential prices to go up, but on the other side of the coin, we have to consider about the interest rate. Costs go up. So, I think we're going to talk about that subsequently.
Next question I'm going to ask is, have you ever heard of the statement, marry the house, date the interest rate?
No, that's a good one. Marry the house and date the interest rate. That's a really good one. There's another corollary on there, though.
Okay.
So, marry the house is going to be long term, right? 12, 15 years. Long term, for sure. Interest rates are going to vary. The median interest rate over our lifetime actually is right at around 5.5%. So,
Okay.
there was a time it was double digits, 18, 19%. And then there's been a time, as you and I both know, that it's been as low as 2 or 3%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interest rates will fluctuate. The most important part on the interest rate, though, is do not use your house as an ATM machine. So we make the mistake, right, of taking out money against our house. So you want to be mindful of that part of it as well. And so talking about like a professional and saying, hey, I'm dating this interest rate. Is this a time that I need to change and do something different? And then that goes to the whole thing of a very good mortgage broker can actually help you navigate some of those questions.
And do like a refinancing?
Yeah, refinance it. Again, being careful though, because you want to keep in mind that a mortgage banker is in the business of selling mortgages. And so you want to be mindful, okay, what is this person's interest in talking to me about a new mortgage or refinance?
Well, this is actually leading into my next question about the actual costs of searching for a house.
Yeah.
Now, you find a realtor, you find a mortgage lender, you find all the people you want to talk to. But these are not your financial advisor.
No, completely different. But you started this statement by saying you talk about the process of, how did you say that? Finding a house?
Yeah, the search cost.
The search cost. That's it, the search cost for finding a house.
That's the economist in me.
I know, right? But there's something to be said for that. You don't want to start searching until you're ready. And you asked about the right time earlier. The right time for you is not going to be the same as everybody else. Your story is not everybody else's story. And so, I'm always talking, hey, talk to a financial advisor. If you have a great financial advisor, that's the time to say, is this the right time? How is my home fitting into the scheme of things? Because you don't want to start searching necessarily until it's the right time for you in particular. And then you're going to look, you said all these people, there are lots of people who want to sell you things.
Or apps.
Or apps. And so I'm going to caution, right? Because if, right, you put the Zillow app on your phone, I bet Zillow will give you notifications about things that are available, right? And so the next thing you know, you're like looking at it. And, we're human, right? We want what we don't have. We look at that beautiful picture, like, oh my gosh, that is the ideal house. And may in fact not be the ideal house. I'm just saying. And so if it's the right time, then this is the time to maybe potentially look at putting in the app. But the question is this the right time? And then what's the cast of characters that I need to get in? Is it going to be the Zillow site? Is it going to be the real estate agent? Is it going to be the mortgage banker? And maybe it's a combination of all three. So you got like a financial advisor saying, hey, is this the right time? And then we're saying, yep, this is. Okay, now we're going to get this cast of characters to help us to get to the right place. Always using potentially, like I said, this financial advisor to say, okay, how's this fit into my financial plan, the big arc? Given that this big purchase, one of three that I'll make in my lifetime probably, how does this fit into that?
Yeah.
And then you want to consider in this cast, right? Because Zillow wants you to be selling or buying a house. That's what they're interested in. They know all the right buttons to get you to hit notifications and save and favorites, all the stuff.
Yeah.
And they're good at it. I'm totally unarmed with it, right?
I get emails and I don't even have Zillow app on my phone. So.
I still get emails. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I think I've told them I'm broken, so I don't think I get them anymore. But it is funny because of the notifications on your phone, it's like all good. The other person you want to think about is that real estate agent. So, and then you have to consider that real estate agent goal to sell you a house. And so no matter what house you look at, it's the perfect house for you. This is perfect for you. It's exactly what you need. And again, being able to emotionally detach from the process, right? And I use that phrase, and I know this gets under people's skin maybe, but it's just a place you're putting your stuff. a house is just a place you're putting your stuff. You do make it a home, but to give it less emotional power over you, because the most important thing is your life. It's
Yes.
like why I like that idea of this real life. So you have to think that the vested interest of the real estate agent, there's some great ones out there.
Sure.
But in general, they want to sell you a house. It's all good for them. And then you want to think about the mortgage banker. The mortgage banker is the same, right? You want to think about, so these are people that you want to be able to trust because they're big decisions and you want to be able to have give and take. And someone used the word debate. I don't know that you necessarily want to debate with them, but you want to have discussion. Like, this isn't going to work for me, or you're showing me stuff that I don't want to see, through the real estate agent.
So that kind of goes then into the other costs I see, the time of finding a house and the emotion of finding a house. Because I know you talked about the house being just a place you put your stuff, but I know it's an emotional roller coaster.
Right.
I mean, my wife and I looked at houses before, and you look at something, it looks, oh, this could be the best place to, raise our family, whatever it might be. How easy is it to get attached to things that you may not have that grasp on yet?
It is so easy to get attached to things. Like, think about the last thing that you lost. Maybe it was a favorite sweater, right?
Sure.
Or jacket. And it's like, I can't live without it. Think about all the emotional attachment of it. And it's the most ridiculous thing. In hindsight, like, a year later, you're like, yeah, whatever. It was that sweater, whatever it was. But in the moment, right, you really get, like, as humans, we get attached to the things. And the place that you live is really an intimate part of you. It's a place that you're putting your stuff down. It's a place that at the end of the day, you can go and let your hair down and be you, kick off your shoes. All of that is part of that home. And so you can get really emotionally attached. And in that process of looking for a house, that's why it's so important to stay detached, arm's length away from it, and have a cast of people to help you keep that detachment. And then when you buy it, then you can sink in and make it a nest, because that's what it's all about.
That makes sense. Yeah. And so kind of going from there, what do you think are some of the biggest or most common mistakes that you see people in the early on buying process for a house?
The biggest mistake people make in buying a house is buying too much house. So they haven't candidly assessed it to say, okay, if I buy a $500,000 house, I'm going to need about 1% to 2% of the value of that house in order to maintain it.
Oh, yeah.
As any asset. Like, you can just think about your car, right? I have to go in for a maintenance of my tires and my battery, and that's just a car. That's like $20,000. But in a house, so many moving parts: windows, heaters, roofs, floors, walls. All of that costs money. Squirrels that might move into the attic. a wasp nest that might move into the yard. So all of these things are like, surprise. You need to have some liquidity to take care of these house things. So the biggest mistake is they buy too much house. Better to have a $400,000 house with an $8,000 annual budget to take care of maintenance and keeping it up to date and fresh and all the things. The toilets not leaking. Just like how you think about all the things that might go wrong. Because oh my goodness, I've had houses leaks. The plumbing problems, electricity problems, all kinds of things. I mean, I don't wish
you don't
that
get
on
maintenance from your landlord. You
you don't. I don't wish that on anybody, mind you. Wait, I've come back from a business trip and my house has been flooded. It's 11 o'clock at night and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 2 inches of water here. What? So again, better to buy a $400,000 house and have that capability to maintain it at that level with about an $8,000 budget versus the bigger house. So, and the other mistake people make is they think they have found the perfect house.
Oh,
but they're like, you start to, if you really, again, take that arm's length away and say, hey, wait a minute, is that kitchen really the way I want it? Am I going to need to update that kitchen? And then how much is that going to cost me?
Oh.
Right? Because I've had that happen. Well, I had that perfect house. And so the real estate agent has convinced them this is the perfect house, the perfect neighborhood. And they're in there and they're like, I never really liked that kitchen.
Yeah. Well, this is going to go into our next episode on home buying, but going through the escrow process, going under contract, talking about bringing in inspectors, quoting on how much changes would be in a house. Do you think that's also something ahead of time before you even buy a house that you should be talking to the financial about, like how much money you'd be willing to spend, be it like for maintenance or not just maintenance, for renovations that you might
Right,
want to do on
right,
the house.
absolutely. With our families, as you know, we meet regularly. We try to meet 3 or 4 times a year with people. I generally want to know where you are in the house process, right? If all of us are going to buy 3 houses in our lifetime, we're going to live in it for, 12, 15 years, we can say with certainty kind of where you are on the path, almost with certainty, I say, right? And so knowing it initially and say, this is the time to start looking. And then I'm getting the cast of characters. And then when the cast of characters helping you keep an arm's length distance is an easy way to say, I'm going to talk with my financial advisor and make sure this works. That allows you, the consumer, to step away and candidly look at the things without any pressure from people.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, if you ever want to discuss buying a home with a financial advisor, we have Wanda here. You can find us at financesforreallife.com. The schedule and appointment button is on the top right of the page. You can also continue to follow this podcast on Apple Music, Spotify, and YouTube. We post every 2 weeks, and we hope you enjoyed this episode. We can't wait to hear you in the next one.
Securities offered through LPL Financial, member FINRA, SIPC. Investment advice offered through Finances for Real Life, a registered investment advisor and separate entity from LPL Financial. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.